This is the recording of the curriculum meeting that we gave this week in school. This meeting is designed to give you an overview of the Curriculum for Wales guidance and to give you more detail about our school curriculum and to respond to some of the questions that we've had posted via the Microsoft forms that were shared with us, and also some of the questions that we had that were posed during the meetings that we had this week. So as I said, I'll give you an overview of the curriculum guidance and also a bit more detail about our school curriculum. And it's really important to us to have your input into our curriculum and the curriculum design process. It's been something that's been tricky, particularly over the last couple of years with COVID and the restrictions. So we haven't been able to have parents into school as we would have liked to have done. But we have sent out the questionnaire that we sent out earlier in the academic year in September, and that's already had an impact on our curriculum, particularly our humanities curriculum, and I'll talk about that in a few moments or two. And it's really important to us now that we look for what opportunities, or as many opportunities as we can, to engage with parents, to tell you about our curriculum, and also to gather your input into our curriculum design. So I'll start with the four purposes, because that's where everyone is supposed to start, teachers, pupils, with our curriculum. So when we're thinking about planning lessons, when we're thinking about topics or a series of lessons, we're supposed to first and foremost think about these four curriculum purposes, and they're supposed to be the basis of our education and all schools across Wales education as part of the new curriculum for Wales. So I'll play a video of our children, and they're explaining what those four purposes are.
In September, schools across Wales will be delivering a new curriculum, a curriculum for Wales. Using the guidance from the Welsh Government, each school has been developing their own curriculum.
A curriculum that meets the needs of their learners and reflects the geography and history of the local community around each school.
The Welsh Government wants every school and every child to be working towards the four purposes from when they join the school at 3 till they're 16 years old.
The first is to be ambitious, capable learners who
have high standards and enjoy challenge,
are learning lots and can explain what we are learning about, and apply it to different lessons and situations. Ask questions and enjoy solving problems.
can communicate well,
Can use number effectively.
Use digital technologies to communicate, find and analyse information.
Undertake research and evaluate what we find.
The next purpose is to be enterprising and creative contributors who
Can use what we've learned to create ideas and products,
solve problems, grasp new opportunities,
lead and work well in teams, use our energy and skills to help other people,
share ideas and emotions through drama, art, dance and filmmaking.
The next purpose is to be ethical, informed citizens who understand and engage with important issues like global warming and saving our planet,
Caring for our communities and human rights and responsibilities.
find, evaluate and use our evidence when we are forming our views,
are knowledgeable about our culture, community and our world, now and in the past.
consider the impact of our actions when making choices,
Are committed to the sustainability of this planet
and ready to be citizens of Wales and the world.
The last purpose is to be healthy, confident individuals who are building our mental and emotional well-being and developing confidence, resilience and empathy.
Understand the importance of diet and exercise on our physical and mental health.
take careful measured decisions about their lifestyle.
Have the confidence to take part in performance.
Form positive relationships based on trust and respect.
And learning to manage everyday life independently.
Welsh Government published their guidance back in January 2020, and since then, well, before then, in the case of some of our areas of learning and experience, we've been planning and preparing for the curriculum that we're going to be delivering to all classes across the school from this September. I think it's important to point out some of the similarities and some of the differences with the curriculum from what we've had before. So the curriculum we had before was the 2008 curriculum, and with that curriculum we had these blocks of learning. So when children started school, they went into the foundation phase, and then at the end of year 2, then they moved into key stage 2, and at comprehensive school they moved into key stages 3 and 4. The idea now is that these blocks of learning have been removed, and we've got one continuum of learning from when children start school at 3 right through until they leave school or they move on to sixth form or college at 16. This means that as teachers, we should have a very clear understanding of what progression looks like from the moment children start until they leave our school. And we should also think about what that progression will look like as they continue then into their new school, into comprehensive school. We used to have 13 national curriculum subject areas, and generally those subjects were taught separately. We've now got 6 areas of learning and experience, and each of those areas encompasses or includes a larger number of subjects. The idea with this approach is to encourage teachers across Wales to adopt more of a cross-curricular approach. So instead of teaching all of our lessons, all of our subjects separately, we use themes, we use topics that we can cover a range of different subjects and go across AOLE sometimes to cover different topics and different subjects within that one topic or that one lesson or that one theme. So for example, in year 6, at the beginning of the year, we generally have a space topic, and through that space topic we can look at science, we can look at physics, we can look at art. So we look at a Welsh artist called Susie Grindy who produced a space painting, so we recreate those space paintings. We can look at music, we can look at Holst, the planets, so we can look at a number of different subjects through that one theme. As well as that, though, there's always going to be certain subjects that won't fit into that, and certain subjects that we want to teach separately because we believe that they develop key skills that we can then reinforce across the curriculum. So, for instance, certain skills in English, like reading and writing, we'll still introduce and develop those skills separately, but then reinforce those across the curriculum through this themed-based approach. In the last curriculum, we had to teach literacy and numeracy, not just through maths and English lessons, but right across the curriculum. So we'd introduce those skills in a maths or an English lesson and then reinforce those skills across the curriculum. And then we also had to teach digital competence, which is an understanding of computers and particularly using computers and being online safely. We've still got to teach literacy and numeracy and digital competence across the curriculum. The names have changed slightly, then I now call them cross-curricular responsibilities. In the past, we had these documents that were called the LNF, the Literacy and Numeracy Framework, and the Digital Competency Framework, which we had to use to teach these different skills. They're now supporting guidance. We don't have to use them, but at Rooster David, we're going to continue to use those, although we are adapting them so that they reflect our curriculum, and particularly what we're doing with our English and our maths curriculum in school. In the past, we had the statutory SRE, that's a sex and relationships education, RE, which is religious education, and PSE, which is personal and social education, which is kind of the health and well-being, teaching children about relationships and their mental health and their well-being. We've still got to teach these. Again, the names have changed slightly. So SRE becomes RSE, which is relationships and sexuality education. RE becomes RVE, which is religion, values and ethics. And they're statutory elements, so we have to teach those. A big difference, particularly with RSE, is that there's no opt-out clause. So with the last curriculum, parents could actually opt out of those lessons, the lessons that were based around sex and relationships, education. There's no longer that opt-out clause, so we have to teach those to all children in the school. PSE, that personal and social education, that's embedded into the health and well-being AOLE, the health and well-being area of learning and experience. And then in the past, we had, with the 2008 curriculum, we had a skills-based framework where Welsh Government would give us the framework. They tell us the skills that we were teaching to the children across the curriculum. A big change with our curriculum now is that it's not just based around skills. It should be based around knowledge, skills and experiences. And by experiences, that this could be different trips that we'd expect the children to go on in different year groups. It could be people that we expect the children to speak to that we bring into lessons, or it could be broader than that. It could be the types of lessons that we'd expect the children to experience during that year. A big difference is that Welsh Government are now not giving us those knowledge, those skills and experiences. They're not giving us the detail and telling us what we have to teach the children. It's up to us to plan those across year groups and throughout the curriculum. It's very much then a teacher that Welsh Government wants to be. It's very much then a curriculum that Welsh Government wants to be designed by teachers. So we've been asked as teachers to use the framework that Welsh Government's given us to design our own school curriculum. And the idea behind this is a process that Welsh Government calls subsidiarity, which means that they believe that the best people to make decisions about the knowledge and skills that children are learning are those that are closest to them in the classroom, which is the teachers and the teaching assistants that teach them every day. So we've been working hard since we got the guidance to plan and put together that detail and our school level curriculum, and a curriculum that we believe will meet the needs of our learners, and where we can, a curriculum that will reflect our local community, the community around our school. We haven't been working alone to do this. We've been working closely with our governing body. We're lucky that we've got an excellent governing body who have come into school. They've supported our AOLE teams and they've supported areas right across the curriculum. Our cluster schools, so working very closely with our primary schools that are in our cluster, but importantly also with Isline High, with our high school. So making sure that whatever we plan matches then what the children will be learning in year 7 and beyond. And we've also been working with wider organisations where we can to support the different areas of learning and the work that we want to do in those areas. For instance, with the expressive arts, we've been looking, or we are looking at the moment, to work more with the Arts Council to support the work that we do want to do there. September is going to be part of that journey. We'll be ready. We've done a lot of planning, so we'll be ready to deliver our curriculum to children across the school. And in fact, in many cases, for a large part of our curriculum, it's already things that we've been trialling, we've been bringing in, and we've been doing at least for the last year, if not before that. But it will be a part of the journey. We'll be ready to review whatever we introduce, and where necessary, we'll adapt that and we'll change what we have to, particularly in light of any new guidance that comes from Welsh Government, during the next academic year. Today, I want to give you a bit more detail there, not just about the guidance, but also about our school curriculum and the curriculum that we're going to be delivering to children in September. The curriculum structure is made up of these 6 AOLEs. You've got expressive arts, humanities, health and wellbeing, science and technology, maths and numeracy, and languages, literacy and communication. And LLC, languages, literacy and communication, that includes English, Welsh, and also an international language. And our international language is going to be Spanish. And that will reflect what our cluster primary schools are doing, and also what Isline High, the high schools, asked us to cover. It will be very much an RSE, a speaking-based approach to teaching Spanish. It will be short lessons where the children can explore the Spanish through games, through songs, and with a focus on speaking as opposed to writing. Then we have these cross-curricular responsibilities, literacy, numeracy, and digital competence that we have to teach across the curriculum, and also integral skills. So these are skills like problem solving, creativity, critical thinking, and planning and organising that will also be embedding across the curriculum. And I've mentioned some of these already, but we've also got these cross-cutting elements that we have to teach across the curriculum: RSE, relationships and sexuality, education, diversity. And diversity is really important to us as a school. It's important to us that our curriculum is an anti-racist curriculum, and a curriculum that addresses diversity and issues around prejudice and discrimination as much as we possibly can, and through as many different curriculum areas as we can. Work-related experiences, which we will look to touch on where we can, where it's appropriate, and also local, national and international context. So that means that if we look at a particular topic, so it could be something like sustainability, in geography and humanities, we look at that through a local level. So we talk to children about what it means to them and their lives in school and at home, what they can do to improve climate change and to improve, the future of the planet. And then we would look at that at a national level. So what does climate change and sustainability mean to people across Wales? What does it mean on a government level and to our economy? And then also internationally, particularly as they're moving further up the school, what does climate change, sustainability, or the topic that they're looking at mean in an international context? So with climate change, that might mean what impact will climate change have on other countries around the world, and what are other countries doing around the world to address climate change? So that's the idea of looking at these different topics, these different lessons through this local, national and international context. Within each of these 6 AOLEs, you've got a number of different subjects. With expressive arts, you've got art, music, drama and film, and digital media and dance. Humanities is geography, history, social studies and RVE, which is religion, values and ethics. Health and wellbeing, that includes PE, PSE and RSE. I've mentioned LLC with Welsh, English and international languages. Maths and numeracy is the only one that sits on its own. That just covers maths. And then science and technology includes the 3 sciences: biology, chemistry and physics, but also design, technology and computing. So computing is a little bit different to digital competence. Digital competence is what we're teaching across the curriculum, and computing or computation includes or covers more things like computer science, computer programming. So using a program like Scratch to teach the children how to program computer games. Once we had the guidance in July last year, the first thing we wanted to focus on was coming up with our curriculum vision. So taking the broader Welsh Government guidance and starting to look at, well, what does that mean for us as school? What are the important parts of that guidance that we want to focus on in our curriculum to meet the needs of our learners? So I'll play you another short video. Apologies, I think some of you may have seen this one before, but this is our children from Year 6 last year outlining our curriculum vision.
Education in Wales is changing. From September 2022, all schools in Wales will start to follow the new curriculum guidance.
This curriculum is very different to what we had before. This time we have the chance to create our very own school curriculum at Rhys-y-Dafydd.
And we want to create something very special!
Our curriculum is going to be innovative,
Inclusive!
An outstanding curriculum
that supports all of us to realise the full purposes.
achieve success in school.
To reach our potential and excel.
It will be an ambitious curriculum which aims to give us the very best learning experiences.
Engages with our local community.
nurtures a sense of belonging
And opens our eyes
to the responsibilities
And the opportunities
open to us as citizens of this incredible planet.
I just want to pick up a couple of points from that curriculum vision because they respond to some of the questions we had through Microsoft Forms. We had a question about more able and talented children and on what we will be doing in the curriculum to support those children that maybe have a talent or are more able in particular areas of the curriculum. In our curriculum, we mentioned that it's important for us to support all children to realise the full purposes, to achieve success in school and to reach and exceed their potential. That idea of achieving success in school is really important to us at Rhys-y-Dafydd. Through discussions, we feel that maybe in the past, there's been a focus on maths and English, and maybe because of that focus on maths and English, not all schools, not just at Rhys-y-Dafydd, but in schools across Wales, sometimes they leave primary school and they've not had that opportunity to feel that sense of achievement in school or to feel that sense of success, to find their success or maybe to find their passion in a particular curriculum area. Because we've got this wider range of AOLEs and this wider range of curriculum subjects, we want to make sure we take advantage of that and we give as many children as we can, ideally every single child in the school, the opportunity to find their passion, to find their success and to have that sense of achievement while they're in school. So to enable us to do that, we're going to make sure that we take advantage of these wider range of AOLEs. So we make sure across the school we're teaching subjects like dance, like music, like film and digital media, like computation, the sciences, and we're doing that as effectively as we possibly can so that children have that opportunity to find that success through the curriculum. We also want to make sure that through our after-school clubs, we've already got a broad range of after-school clubs. We want to extend that further so that children can develop those skills and develop those passions, those talents further through after-school opportunities. We're putting together a spreadsheet where teachers can identify children that have been successful in a particular area, either in school or outside of school, so that then Mr. George and Mr. Smith, during celebration assemblies, they can look through that spreadsheet, they can see those different children that have been successful, and they can share that with the rest of the school. And also where children have a particular talent, we want to look for opportunities to let them know where they can develop those talents, those skills outside of school through different opportunities. So really making sure we give children that chance to develop a range of talents in school, have that chance to be successful, to feel that sense of achievement, and then where we feel they're more able, they're more talented, give them more opportunities to develop those talents and those skills. We're going to make sure we're using the more able talented register as well. So where we find children that are gifted or talented across those different AOLEs, we're going to make sure that we identify those on the register. We inform parents when we put them onto that register, and then once they're on that register, we're looking for opportunities to develop those skills. And another area we want to do that through the curriculum and through after school opportunities is to find different competitions and different events where children can share and develop different skills. So that could be a chance to share writing with a wider audience. It could be a maths competition. We've got a competition called 24 that we're developing, or we're going to be doing with our cluster schools and with the comprehensive school. And in the past, we've gone to Lego programming events where the children have been able to program computers and develop computation skills and areas that are within the science and technology AOLE. So I think finding those different events and those competitions where children can develop their skills and their talents further. Our curriculum, then, I'll give you a bit more detail, is built around these three key areas, and these reflect the Welsh Government areas that are important in curriculum for Wales, and they're progression, assessment, and pedagogy. I mentioned at the start that we now have this one continuum of learning, and because of that, as teachers, we have to think about not just the progression in foundation phase, progression in our year group, but how should children be progressing in each of the AOLEs from when they start in our school at 3 until they leave at 11 and beyond, up to the comprehensive school. So to support that, we've been working in AOLE teams since the beginning of year. All teachers have been allocated a team, and we've been working alongside a governor, and we've been putting together these more detailed overviews of learning and progression for each of those AOLEs. And that means thinking about those knowledge, those skills and experiences that the children are going to learn in each of those areas and in each year group. One of the reasons we're doing that is to support assessment. Assessment is very different in this curriculum to what we had before. In the past, the idea with assessment was it was very much an accountability tool, and it was largely used to hold teachers and to hold schools for account. The idea now is that assessment is very much a tool that should be used to support learning. So instead of leaving assessment to the end of the year or to the end of a term, the idea is that we use assessment all the time. So we're using assessment on a daily basis, ideally within every lesson. So we're assessing where the children are in the learning in that lesson, and then if we can, we're adapting our teaching during that lesson to meet the needs of the learners and to show them the next steps in their learning. As part of that, we also want to include self-assessment and peer assessment, so we want to make sure children are much better at assessing themselves and also assessing their peers, assessing the children around them, and taking independence for their learning and being able to support each other with moving their learning forwards. This is a big change. As part of that change, the foundation phase outcomes that the children would have had at the end of foundation phase and that we would have reported to you at the end of each academic year, and also the key stage 2 levels have now gone. So those assessment tools have gone. We do need to still reflect and monitor children's progress, but instead of those very broad end of key stage levels or those foundation phase outcomes, we want to make sure that assessment is much more precise, and that we're assessing children across the AOLEs, and that within each of those areas, in each of those subjects, we're being much more precise about assessing the particular skills, the particular knowledge that children are doing well with, and where they need more help and support. For example, with maths, we are assessing children at the end of each strand. So a strand in maths is an area of the maths curriculum. So it could be fractions, decimals, and percentages. So at the end of that strand, and they'll do that each year, particularly in upper school, we'll assess how the children have progressed, and then we'll record that in a spreadsheet, and then we could feedback that information to you during parents' meetings or when we give the end of year reports. With English, it might be giving children a piece of written work that we then observe, and we assess where they are with their writing skills, but we'll look to also assess children with their reading, as well as across the other areas of learning and experience. The idea with this, and this is a huge improvement with the levels, which were very broad. So in the past, the children, for example, with maths would just get one level. We can be much more precise, and we can actually pinpoint, well, which areas of maths are the children doing well in, and which areas of maths do the children need more support in, and then we can pass that information on to you. I mentioned already that we're creating these overviews, and we're looking to celebrate success where we can across the curriculum. And with pedagogy, that's the methods of teaching that we use in the classroom. We want to make sure that we're using a broader range of exciting and engaging teaching methods that can then enhance progression and engage the children with the teaching that we're doing. We've introduced a number of different methods and different pedagogical approaches already over the last year, if not before. And we've also been looking across the school. So we might have looked to foundation phase, different approaches that they use, and started to see, well, can we introduce those methods in Key Stage 2 as well, to support and to engage the children. So, for example, we've been using more outdoor learning, not just in foundation phase, but in Key Stage 2, we've been making greater use of the forest school. In fact, all schools now use the forest school area every other week to teach lessons across the curriculum. We want to make sure we've got more of a focus on creative learning, because we feel that can engage children that might otherwise find it difficult to focus in a classroom environment. So looking at if we can use art, if we can use music, we can use dance, we can use digital media and film to engage children with different lessons. And to support us with that, we've been talking to the Arts Council, and we've made a couple of applications to be part of projects that can help us to develop creative learning approaches across the school. As well as that, we want to make sure we've always got to focus on our growth mindset, which is something we've been introducing or we've been developing for a number of years. So that's talking to children about effort and the importance of putting effort into their work, and making sure that they understand that other children might be slightly further ahead. They might be progressing slightly quicker at the moment, but as long as they keep putting in the time and the effort into their own work, and they develop other skills alongside that, like resilience, then they will continue to make progress along with all the children in the school. So the importance of developing that growth mindset continues to be part of our pedagogy and our teaching across the curriculum. I'll talk a little bit more detail about each of the AOLEs and what we'll be doing, or what we've already started to do in those areas. Maths and numeracy is an area that we're a little bit further ahead with. So we started to work on the maths and numeracy curriculum 3 years ago. As part of that, we introduced a new approach to teaching. It's a mastery approach, and it includes the use of an increased use of concrete, pictorial, and abstract representations to support teaching and learning, and to develop children's conceptual understanding. So that means that instead of teaching an abstract method in maths, like column addition, we'd actually have a number of stages we go to before we got to that abstract method. So we'd teach children how to add and subtract using concrete resources. That's resources they can handle, like place value counters or a place value grid. Yet we might use digital resources. We use something called MassBot. So we use pictorial representations like bar models. So building up all these different representations so that children have a very deep understanding of the maths they're learning about and the maths they go on to use. The reason for that is so that they understand what they're doing, and the research shows then that they'll remember these methods, they retain these methods as they're progressing through school. We've got an added emphasis on our times tables. We've been talking to teachers about this over the last couple of weeks. We want to make sure that teachers are revisiting the timetables daily with daily times table practice. We think that maths warm-ups are very important, so we want every lesson to have a maths warm-up that takes place daily. And during those maths warm-ups, children revisit and they consolidate previous learning. We want to make sure across the curriculum, but in maths, we've got opportunities to develop maths through authentic context. So in the past, we had a money week, and we're going to reintroduce that, where children create a product that they then sell to parents, and then they can reinvest that money into more resources that they can then make their product and then sell it again at the end of the week. So teaching children about money, teaching children about profit and loss through this authentic learning experience. And then, as I said before, we've got these regular progress checks in maths, so we can see how children are progressing across the different strands. We've also got at the end of the year the national tests. They're going to continue. So those national tests from year 2 upwards in reasoning, and in procedural maths, and then in also reading and comprehension. And those tests will continue, and that will also give us another progress check in reading and in maths that we can feed back to you as parents. English. We had a focus when we met in our AOLE teams this year. The English team made the decision that they wanted to focus on writing, so they put together a detailed progression of the knowledge and skills that the children are going to be focusing on each year, and that we ideally expect them to have developed by the end of that year. Obviously, we understand that children progress at different rates, but we've got these knowledge and skills that each year group are aiming towards. We've got to focus on grammar, developing spelling skills, and those writing skills across the curriculum that we believe are crucial life skills and crucial communication skills for children throughout school and in their lives beyond school. In terms of reading, again, we feel that reading is an area that we need to improve. We're going to introduce a new bespoke phonics scheme. It will be a systematic synthetic phonics scheme, and it's being developed by our teachers based around the letters and sounds DFE guidance. That's the guidance that they provide to schools in English, which is quite detailed guidance about the different stages that children will go from as they develop their early phonics skills, their early reading skills. Alongside the scheme, our approach is going to include appropriate resources, decodable reading books that were matched to children's knowledge. We've got dandelion readers in reception that we can use to match children's knowledge and to support or to go alongside that scheme. And we're also looking at bringing in some more books where we need to, that will run alongside, that we will use alongside, that will match that scheme that we're going to bring in. We'll provide staff training, so we don't want this just to be a scheme that's used in one year group. We want this to be a consistent scheme that's used across years, particularly in lower school. As I said, we'll have staff training, and then in September there will be parent workshops, primarily for children in reception, who will be being introduced to this scheme, but also then for the parents of children in lower school and across the school if other children want to attend it, so that they can get an understanding of this scheme so they can support children at home. Speaking is very important to us, giving children opportunities to share their work, to debate and discuss issues in English and across the curriculum. And through these discussions, through developing those speaking skills, we believe that children build up those crucial communication skills, and also their self-esteem and their self-confidence. I'll talk a little bit about the other AOLEs. Expressive arts, as I mentioned before, covers filmmaking, dance, music, and also drama. As I said before, we're speaking to the Arts Council and looking at how we can develop that. One of the areas we want to do more work on, we want to, particularly through professional development, develop our skills as teachers, is music. So we're also talking to Caerphilly Music Surface about what they can offer us and how they can help us to deliver a really innovative music curriculum across the school. Science and technology, which includes those different sciences, biology, physics, and chemistry, and making sure we get good coverage of all those different parts of science, as well as design technology and computation. Health and well-being, so that's relationships and sexuality education, as well as physical literacy, which is PE, and also teaching children about their emotional health and their emotional well-being. All falls into that AOLE, the health and well-being AOLE. And then humanities. So humanities is one of the areas of learning experience where we want to make sure that we reflect our local community. So the survey that we sent to parents in September has already had an impact on our humanities planning. During that, as part of that survey, parents identified some different local history topics, some different areas of geographical interest locally that we've then brought in and we've included in our overviews of learning and experience for humanities. So we're making sure that we've got that focus on local history and local geography, and that we're teaching that through our humanities AOLE. RSE and RVE. So RSE is that relationships and sexuality education. As I said earlier on, the big change with this now is that the opt-out clause has gone, so parents can no longer opt out of this part of the curriculum. We've received guidance only over the last couple of weeks from Confili. So Confili have provided us, the council have provided us with more guidance about how we teach that. We're going to absorb this information. We've got guidance on Welsh Government, which is quite broad guidance about the different things, the different types of things we should be teaching to children by the time they reach different milestones. We're going to look at that guidance. We're going to plan very carefully the types of lessons we want to teach, and only when we are ready and all the staff have the necessary training will we then teach that to children. So it won't be in September. It more than likely will be introduced towards the end of the autumn term or maybe into the spring term. And what we're doing, this has come from the meetings we've had this week, is before we teach that, we'll send out letters to parents so that we can let you know exactly when we're going to teach those lessons. We'll also give you more detailed information about exactly what we're teaching and any resources that we're using. So that could be a PowerPoint or a video. We'll share those resources with you for the particular year group that your child is in. That means you've got knowledge, you know when we're going to do it. And so if the children are coming home asking you questions, telling you about what they've learned in school, then you can support them, and you've got the information. You can see the detail and what we were teaching to them in the lessons. So we don't have that information yet, but as soon as we've got that more detailed information, then we'll give that to you. In terms of put some minds at rest, and we shared that information during the meeting, I can give you a little bit more detail from the Welsh Government guidance. There's 3 strands to RSE, to the relationships and sexuality education. There's relationships and identity, sexual health and well-being, and empowerment, safety and respect. In terms of sexual health and well-being, by year 6, so obviously this isn't something we'd be teaching to children lower down the school, but towards the end of their time in school, we'd expect children to have a scientific knowledge of the reproductive organs and how they develop. We give children an understanding of fertility and the process of reproduction, which would include supporting menstrual health and well-being. And then we'd recognize the process of pregnancy and birth, and then the changes that take place physically and mentally during puberty. The idea is that we're giving children an understanding of what is happening to their bodies at the time. That's the time that by the end of year 6, that children's bodies are changing. So an understanding of those changes that are happening to them. And it's very much a scientific understanding. We're using scientific words and scientific language to talk about these different processes. In terms of the other themes, so empowerment, safety and respect, that's about understanding that everybody has got this right to be free from harm and abuse, an awareness of harmful and abusive behaviours. How to stay safe online is extremely important for us as a school, and then how to seek support and understanding the right of bodily privacy. Our thoughts, or our aim with this part of the curriculum then, is to give children an understanding and knowledge that will keep them safe. So that there are some misconceptions, so hopefully that puts your mind at rest. But if you've got any questions about that, please email or contact the school. But as I said, when we're going to deliver those lessons, we will let you know by letter when we're doing them, and we'll provide more detail about the lessons before we teach them to the children. With RVE, that's relationships, values and ethics. Each year group will learn about one religion throughout the year, and then they'll compare that religion to Christianity. And that learning will include learning about beliefs, traditions, places of worship and celebration, and we'll also explore religion, value and ethics through those different topics that are outlined on the PowerPoint slide. What's next? We will be teaching our curriculum to children across the school in every class from September. I will provide a half-termly curriculum update. So that in the next few weeks, I'll provide an update which will cover some of these issues that I covered in this meeting, and also respond to some of the questions that I had during the meeting. And if anyone has any further questions, we'll share again that link to the Microsoft form. So please feel free to ask those questions, and I'll try to address those through the half-termly curriculum update, which will be shared on Seesaw about the same time as the newsletter. I'll continue to provide those updates throughout the next academic year, each half term. There's going to be more opportunities for parents to become involved in developing our curriculum. And if you're able to, if you've got the time to do that, then we'd be extremely grateful if you could take up those opportunities, and we'll let you know as soon as we've got information about those opportunities and when they come up. We'll provide more detailed arrangements about our assessment. I'll put together an assessment overview, an assessment cycle, which will show a little bit more information about some of the assessments I talked about that we'll be doing across the school, that will then feed in to the feedback that we give to the children and the feedback that we give to you about the children's progress. I'll share that information in September. As I just said, with RSE, with the relationships and sexuality education, we'll share the lesson plans and the resources with you before we teach those lessons to the children. And with the phonics, we will hold meetings for parents in reception and for parents across the school to give them more information about the phonics program in September. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch this meeting. As I just said, if you've still got any questions, we'll share the link to the Microsoft form. So please share those questions, and I will try to respond to those either with you directly or through those half-termly curriculum updates. Thank you very much.